I am Jim Collison, and live from the Gallup Studios in Studio B here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Theme Thursday, Season 4, recorded on October 31st, 2018. Theme Thursday is a Gallup Webcast series that dives deep into the CliftonStrengths theme, one at a time. Today's theme is self-assurance. If you have questions, comments, or contributions during this webcast, we do have a live chat room. It's available for you right below the main video window. Just take a peek down there. If you're on the live page, choose the login button, bottom left-hand corner. Click, I'll wait for you. Go ahead. Click on the guest account, take the guest name and the number out, put your name in, hit submit, you'll be in. You can choose any of the other social media accounts to get in as well. All that stuff will work. Love to have you in the chat room. Super important. We'll take your questions live during the program as well as in the post show. And you need to hang around for the live show in order to get the post show. If you're listening to the recorded version, or if you have questions about anything, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. And then don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com. For all your coaching resources and training needs, you can also catch the video, both audio and downloadable streaming audio for your offline listening. We call that podcasting. It's available for you. All the cool kids are doing it. If you haven't started listening to podcasts, all the stuff that you need to get that done is on our coaches blog. Head out to coaching.gallup.com. Maika Leibbrandt is our host today. She's a workplace consultant and maybe a cowboy today. Maika, welcome to this special Halloween edition of Theme Thursday and Self-Assurance.
Maybe a cowboy today. Never can really tell. Thanks, Jim. Great to be here.
We are in 31 of 34, kind of bringing this in for a landing throughout the year. It goes super fast here at the end. Before we know it, the best one, woo, will be up. So we're excited. We're excited for that. But today is self-assurance, and we're going to dig in on that. I think a misunderstood and maybe a maligned theme in some regards. We're going to break that down as well as with significance. We're going to break those down as we talk about them. So I'm always excited to bring the truth or a little bit of some positivity to these themes because they're neutral by nature. It's how we apply them, right? So as we think about it, let's dig in a little bit. What's that theme brief, Maika?
Sure. So this is one thing that's changed recently. Now that we have 20 million folks having taken Clifton Strengths around the globe, self-assurance is now the least common theme to show up in people's top 5. It used to be command. At one time before that, it was discipline. It is currently at our 20 million mark, the least common theme to show up in people's dominant top 5. And I think that lends itself to the misalignment, possibly, or the misunderstanding. You're just not likely to come across somebody with high self-assurance. But boy, I can tell you in my life when I have, a few people stand out in my memory as being phenomenal partners because of their self-assurance. So thrilled to get to talk about it. Self-assurance falls into that influencing category. The brief way to understand self-assurance is it's an instinctive awareness of ability. You might think of somebody with high self-assurance being able to say, I know what I bring to the table and I will bring it well. Confidence and in their own self as a resource, knowledge about the boundaries that they might have around mastery, so what they can and can't do very well. Also, self-assurance is about internal decision making, really trusting their gut and listening to and abiding by their intuition.
Yeah, I think a really important theme in the context of leadership and team growth, by the way. I think this is one of those magical superpower themes that we absolutely need and take advantage of in teams. We'll talk a little bit more about that why as we go. But when it's at its best, what does it look like?
Yeah, the value that your self-assurance will bring if you have it high is the ability to establish and further trust amongst others thanks to your certainty, your confidence. I almost think about self-assurance as being a weather vane that doesn't work. So if you can think about a weather vane that does work, it's blown by the wind. It tells you which direction the wind is blowing, and it moves around with the changing and swirling and different circumstances. If you've got high self-assurance, it's like saying, no, this is where we're going, and it doesn't matter all of the change that might be circulating us, the emotions of other people, the importance that external factors might have on our decisions. We are going to stay our course. And that ability to say, here's where we are, I am certain about where we are, I think it provides a lot of love, a lot of compassion, a lot of stability. You can also bring weight and influence to a topic that other people may doubt. You can think about lending your self-assurance to where people might need it. But I think it's also this calmness, the stability, because you place your trust in your own self. You place your trust in your own intuition rather than external factors that that might be dynamic or unpredictable, you bring a value that is stability, the ability to say, here's where we're going, and that's okay.
Yeah, I like to use the word calm and stable. We talked a
Hmm.
little bit about this in command when we spent some time on that, the ability really to step in and the absence of leadership and take it. In I think self assurance also has this ability to step in with other people and give them confidence when they don't have it, maybe even a transference of that confidence. So in the ability to say, I feel good about what we are and what we're doing, and I'm stable. Rest in
Hmm.
my stability, right? And or gain from my stability. And I just think, in a world, by the way, no more crazier than it's ever been, but in a crazy world that we live in, this is a really important tool to have. Friends that have this high self assurance, you are needed
Yeah.
oftentimes during times like this. What can we do more of? What kind of activities really suit us best?
Self assurance is about that understanding internal that then flows outside of you. I just want to talk about this because you mentioned command. I think command probably seeks pieces outside of yourself that need that direction and goes there to meet it. So it's almost like they are two very similar themes that are just inverses of each other. But to follow that self assurance path, because of the internal compass or that internal locus of control, look for projects that give you a great amount of independence and a certain amount of autonomy. You're going to be better when you are making decisions of your own and being able to set the tone for what you know to be right. I also think about searching out work or projects or even partnerships that you know for certain align with your own abilities and talents. You might consider looking for where do your interests, your skills, and your mission all merge together. So you're probably going to be great at just about anything because you can call upon yourself as a resource, but you'll be a whole lot better if you know you're in the right place. So that being said, I'd also say that there is this beautiful, I think, comfort with risk, or it might look like comfort with risk, and to people with high self assurance, it might just not feel like a risk because you know that you can pull yourself through it. You know that it's almost that your own bootstraps piece. All right, now I got to go because I said bootstrap. I have to include my hat. So try something new that you haven't mastered yet. Say yes more quickly to challenges or to projects without having to ask yourself, can I do it? Um, I would say shorten the amount of time that you have to take on something new. You are best when you rely on yourself, and you might even be best when you're a little bit off center and you have to pull upon your own instinct in order to get you through something. When you need yourself, or you need that inner resource that you provide yourself, that's usually when you're going to be sharper, when you're going to be on more on point.
Okay, I'm a little jealous because you put your hat on, so I'm going to put mine back on for a second. Because Jamie in the chat room, let's see if I can do this and still see. Jamie in the chat room says this about. She says, "For me, it shows up as confidence to figure it all out." Right, this is a sorting hat.
Sure.
A sort. I don't need all the answers. I just know I can find them. Right, and so there's some. I love that ability to kind of know the calmness that is brought in the sense of we don't know. Oh no, I know, or I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I love what Jamie says there. I don't need to know all the answers. I just need to know I can find them.
You know.
And it's not even I need to know where to go to find them. I think it's that ability to say, no, I trust that I'll figure it out. I can do it. I think it is also when I say do more of something new yet that you haven't mastered, you probably could master just about anything when you've got high self assurance, right? Because you're not relying on something external to get you there. But I also think it's important that you're not just trying new things for the sake of novelty. Look for things that you know a little bit about or you've always had a desire to take on that you really do care about and that your values align with. That I think is even better than just saying throw yourself into a space that's going to be turbulent because you can figure it out.
When we think about environments that best support this theme, what can they ask for? What kind of environments can they put themselves in?
Well, I think ask for clarity on what are the rules that cannot or should not be broken. Maybe perhaps clues even to look for that you might be stepping too close to those rules. Once you have that conversation with whoever your stakeholders are, I think then you can proceed at full blast. You can have a little bit greater independence and perhaps some certainty around the decisions that you then can make. Also, ask for what are the goals that other people have. So if you know what's important to your collaborators, where they're aiming, what they're going to be looking for as their ultimate definition of success, it's going to help you know where you can rely on other people and where you can tap into the mastery of others. So you probably have the ability to know yourself, but also I think you've got this instinctive ability to resource expertly to the best in others. So being able to say, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And that second part of what I don't know can be accentuated if I have an instant line to where my best expert advisors are, maybe like wizards, maybe people who wear funky hats or are experts in a certain area, being able to say, this is out of my wheelhouse, but it's right there in something that Jim does well. And I'm going to call upon him and tell him that I believe in everything that he's about to say, right? I'm going to elevate him as a master resource and bring him into the fold. That's where I think you get into a little bit more of the influencing side of self-assurance and really a beautiful leadership element, being able to say, this is what I bring and this is what the people around me bring.
That's a great explanation. When we think about who they are not, what can they worry less about?
You might not respond quickly unless it comes from other themes. You might not respond quickly or effortlessly to external needs. And that's because you're led by that sort of internal stability. You're led by your own gut. And it might mean that you're not as sensitive to either the emotions of others that perhaps could otherwise change the course of action, or the knowledge of others. Or you might not be as in tune to trends or fads or different discoveries that for other people create important distinctions of understanding. I would say worry less about naturally seeing those clues to building a story or building a context or understanding things. And instead, make sure that you are tapping into some complementary partners who you can trust to inform you when it really matters.
Maika, there's some discussion in the chat room. Nate is kind of leading the initiative. We've had some questions about how does self-assurance fit with fill in the blank. Just a reminder, all of season 2, and Nate, thanks for bringing this up in the chat room, all of season 2 of Theme Thursday, all based around theme dynamics. That's what we call that. We have a special tool available for you in the book, Expanding Your Strengths. If you go to coaching.gallup.com, click on the resources tab. It's just a scroll down. You can see there's a link there where you can buy that from just about anywhere in the world. If you're looking for an interesting tool and a very well done one, as well as a book that goes along with it, that's a great comparison. We don't do that as much this season. But we spent a whole bunch of time in season 2 talking about that as well. So if you haven't gotten that resource yet, you can do that. Maika, when
Jim,
we're
before you go on, though, I run into coaches all the time who either have forgotten that exists or don't totally understand how to use it. Can you do just 10 seconds on what that Expanding Your Strengths does and how it works?
Yeah, so in the web app that we have, that's available for you. So you buy the book and it comes with access to a web app. And basically you can log in with your account and then just choose. It's just 2 easy drop downs. You would choose self-assurance and deliberative in this case, is what they're talking about in the chat room. And it would bring back a definition. Kurt Liesfeld built this model for us of these definitions of what they could look like, 2 catchy phrases oftentimes of how they fit together, and then some examples below on each individual theme, as well as some resources that are available for you. By the way, this Expanding Your Strengths with Christmas time coming up makes one of the best Christmas gifts ever for your strengths enthusiast, your strengths champion, or your coach who doesn't have access to this. So available for you, fairly inexpensive. Maika, would you add anything else to that description?
I think, yeah, I would say it's also a fantastic coaching tool, because you'll find that something's going to resonate very differently with your client based on the themes around them. And this allows you to prepare for how do I get the very best of my client in my head before I meet with them, thinking about the pairs that exist in their top 5, there's 10 of them, or the pairs that exist in their top 10, there's even more.
Yeah, and Marta mentioned she liked the book Paired Up, and this book comes right from that Paired Up work that was done, that was there. This gets you, not everybody has access to that Paired Up literature material that's available. This link that's on our resources, again, coaching.gallup.com, look on the resources tab, is a international link. So it'll allow you to purchase it just about everywhere. It's not, books are weird, Maika. Selling books around the world is a weird thing. Every country does it a little bit differently. So it works for most people. You can purchase the book. It is available in ebook form only, but the app is well worth the price of admission. So you probably want to get in there. If you want to get an example of it, watch any Theme Thursday season 2. All right.
Great.
Back to self-assurance. When we're working with it, what should we expect?
I think look for certainty. Expect that by certainty, I don't mean that this person's always going to know the answer, but they're going to believe in themselves and their ability to find it, and themselves as probably the best resource. Also look for a willingness to try without needing that to pass through those doors of entry of external mastery. They probably, because of that, have a high tolerance for risk. And it could be because they're less worried about variables because they know that they can be probably the most important variable.
And how do we recognize them? Again, favorite conversation we've had all season on this. If you haven't been taking notes in this particular area and you want to have the superpower of recognition, Maika has 34 clues on how to
There
get
you
that
go.
done. Maika, how do we recognize people?
We should do something with that. That's actually a really great point that we now have 34 great ways that you can crack the code on recognition. Specifically for self-assurance, I love this. Look for when has this person done something well that would have scared others or slowed other people down? And how can you go there? How can you talk about what it was they did and what their contribution was?
And what about stretching it, learning and growing? These themes don't automatically, just because we're born with these natural tendencies. We still need to work on them. How do we grow these?
I think feel free to challenge them. Every time that I have coached someone with high self assurance, it's been more of a collaborative journey toward that application of their talents. It hasn't been, they usually don't come to me saying, what do I do with this? It's usually sort of that opposite of where are you using this? How can you use it a little bit better? What is your gut telling you? But feel free to push things back at them. Invite them to firm up their stance on issues or on ideas. Help them translate what their intuition is into statements that other people can understand, and help them translate what their gut's telling them into actions that they can do. Also, I think if you're their manager or you're helping them develop, think about positioning them in situations where there's not already a written book of rules. They're probably at their best when they're the one calling lots of shots and making lots of decisions. So give them that area to play.
And then lastly, how do we partner with them? When we don't have it and we're partnering? What are great ways to partner?
I think part of partnering with somebody with high self-assurance is just partnering in general. Being able to open yourself up and ask for their guidance and be there and sort through their guidance with them. If appropriate, you could present them with a couple options maybe that you have or that you have about your partnership together, and then tap into their gut, their intuition to find the best path forward. But be open enough to really taking their advice and listening to what they are picking up maybe from the universe, maybe internally, but realize that their perspective is going to be one additional resource for you if you're somebody without self-assurance. And you might need to think about that as just as important as comparing that to the market or comparing that to something that you've learned or comparing it to your own gut. So think about them as a really great resource that you're not going to be able to buy online or read in the library. Also, share what it is that you are certain of. Remember, they deal in the currency of certainty, and they might not be to that certainty point on every topic. But again, if you help them understand how you can be better partners, then I think it's going to benefit both. And that means sharing what are the topics, what are the relationships, when are the times where you know that if you're holding that baton and you're running forward, that together you can be really excellent.
Throughout the season, we've been doing theme challenges that are available for you. We post them on Facebook, where they're also pasted. They're also posted. That's the word I'm looking for. They're also posted in the show notes. That's at the coach's blog. By the way, almost every question I get asked is answered by this. It's on the coach's blog, right?
Hooray for
I'm
that
just saying. I
awesome blog.
don't need self-assurance to say
coaching.gallup.com.
that. By the way,
It's like better than a sorting hat.
way better than a sorting. Well, Karen, it's not. It's as good as a sorting hat. She gave me that hat, so it's as good. Maybe one of the reasons I got the sorting hat. So if you ever have any questions, can't get a hold of me, you can't get a hold of us, look at the coach's blog. That's available for you out there. But we post them as show notes to these show that's coming out. Maika posts them in the Facebook group. You can follow her Instagram at Strengths Talk. Lots of ways to interact with these. We also, Chris Townsend has built a spreadsheet that has a bunch of notes and all these in here, and I'll post them in the chat that we have available for you. So Maika, what are the challenges for the week?
If you have self-assurance as a dominant theme, your challenge is to find ways to align your gut with your action. 3 challenges for you. Number 1, we're calling collaborating with others. I want you to consider what is the most important goal that you will achieve in the next year. And then name one person you're certain will help you accomplish this faster or more effectively. Number 2, we're calling nexting your intuition. What's something you've always been interested in? I want you to interview an expert who can tell you more about it. Or number 3, lend your self-assurance. What cause, person, or idea needs you as their platform? Find some way in the next week to lend your voice to this person, this cause. Speak on behalf of someone.
We do not have, I do not have this very high. I think it's middle for me. So if it's a lesser theme for me, what kind of things can I do?
Yeah, if it's a lesser theme, your challenge isn't to make it stronger or figure out how to bubble it up. It's just to find your own compass. Challenge number 1, honestly, could be for everyone, whether or not they have self-assurance. But I want you to name the value that you are sure you bring. So your signature themes are going to be a clue to this, but what are the ways that we can always count on you to be, to do, to know, or to say? And number 2, if you have self-assurance as a lesser theme, it doesn't mean that you can't get anything done on your own. It doesn't mean that you're uncertain. It just means you might be more interdependent than independent. So when it comes to choosing a course of action, if this is a lesser theme for you, I want you to name who your best thought partners are. So who are the people that you bounce things off of? Who are the people who you look to for guidance? Who maybe are the people who help you accomplish things? Get feedback from one of these people on an important goal that you have looking forward. So it's almost the opposite of number 2 on the dominant theme challenge, where we say, what's something that you're going to do and who could help you do it better? This theme challenge is really pay attention to an important goal to you and tap into those interdependent partners who help you think better about it.
Maika, let's call an audible and come up with a third one. I want you to think about this for a second. When we think about as a lesser theme challenge of watching for it in someone else, because I love this. It's rare. It's important. I mean, they all are. But when we think about leadership and teams and team dynamics and fitting into a team and helping a team make progress, if we were going to think of a third challenge for them and in watching for it, what would you advise? What else besides finding someone, look on their top 5 if they have it at work or what have you, figure out a way to get that done. Then once they identify it, what would you have them do?
Well, let's think beyond just needing to know what somebody's dominant themes are. Let's think more awareness focused about what this theme looks like in the wild. So for everyone, even if you've got this one, even if you have high self-assurance, I want you to think about who's the person you want to bring with you into the trenches, right? Who comes to mind when you think about a partner who if they're with you, you cannot lose? It might be because they have high self-assurance. It also might be because they have lots of other themes. But I think getting in the habit of recognizing are those people who bring certainty, who bring an assuredness, who bring clarity even to a situation. So think about that. Who pops into your mind when you think, if I was with this person and something went south, or if I had this person with me and I had to overcome a challenge or an argument, I know that I would win. Or we would win together. Again, this doesn't have to be a us versus them piece, but who's that person for you? Who's that stronghold person? By the way, this doesn't mean that they're your best partner or that they're any better or worse than anybody else. We're just talking about how do we serve that goal of finding somebody who acts as a compass, who is your unwavering sort of advisor. And number 1, recognize them. My ideation wants to say do something more creative than say recognize, Maika. But no, that one's important. Recognize them, but also help recognize what it is they bring to you. So when you're recognizing that person, pick a couple words. And it might, if you don't have high communication, it might take you a while. It might take you a thesaurus. But I want you to tell that person what it is that they provide. In doing that, you are communicating 2 very important things. 1, you're communicating what you need, right? Why they're valuable to you. And 2, you're helping build their vocabulary of what they can offer, not just back to you, but to the world. And I think Jim and I talked about this in the pre-show about our own sort of hodgepodge of different projects that becomes a job, how important it is for us to even say, this is the value I bring, so that we can teach other people to ask us for it more. And I think in doing that, you're really helping. You're probably giving everybody a little bit more taste of certainty that self-assurance brings. And if you have self-assurance, fly that flag high, because we need a little bit more of you in the world. We need a little bit more of things that might seem a little bit rare, like tuning into a podcast and seeing a cowboy hat. We need more self-assurance. Thanks for being who you are.
All right. Any final thoughts you would add, Maika, before we close this thing up and go into the post show?
Nope.
Just like that. That would have been strategic for me to put the hat on. By the way, it's Halloween, just in case you haven't mentioned. Halloween here in the United States, October 31st. And Mike and I have brought hats today. And so we'll spend a little time talking about those in the post show. Remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center, including the brand new All 34 report, or Clifton Strengths 34 is what we're calling it. And it's available for you now. If you've unlocked all 34, it's available to you. You can just log in if you have it. If you haven't upgraded, you might want to stay close to the community. We've got a little upgrade code going on right now. Get you 10% off. If you need that code, I'm not going to say it because it won't work. And many people listen to this well beyond it. So it's on our Facebook groups. You can contact me, whatever. But you can get that for $30. Get upgraded, get access to the All 34 report. It's pretty amazing. 20-some pages, 25 pages. Pretty great to dive into. It's available at the Gallup Strengths Center. Actually, it's available on all our platforms at this point. So log in if you've unlocked all 34. It's available for you. Don't forget, if you have any questions about anything, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. You can also catch the recorded audio and video, as well as downloadable audio. We call that podcasting. Again, it's available for you off our Coach's blog. And the Coach's blog really has just about everything available for you. Coaching.gallup.com. If you're interested in becoming a Gallup certified strengths coach or any training that we're going to be offering a bunch of new training in 2019. If you're not keeping track of our courses page, just go out to courses.gallup.com. Lots of good training and education well beyond coaching that's available for you as well. Don't forget, we post everything we do live. If you ever want to join us live, everything we post is available at our Eventbrite page. Just go to gallup.eventbrite.com. And you can even follow us there, and you'll get email notification every time we add a new event of some kind. So if you want to do that, that way you're always on top of what's going on. Maika, as we rolled out the new 34, it always reminds me, people hear about this through different ways, or they'll send me an email and say things have changed. And we do our best to get all the information out in the community, but I am aware that there are folks that are disconnected. Don't be disconnected. Stay connected in all the various social platforms. And if that doesn't work, let's make sure we have your right email address, or you can subscribe to the Coach's blog and at least stay up to date with everything that's going on there. Join us on our Facebook group. You can do that really easy. Facebook.com/groups/called-to-coach. And we'll welcome many of you who've joined us over the last couple of weeks. I've gotten a ton of new folks to join in there. So that's a great way to do it. Many of them they hear it on the webcasts. I want to thank you for coming out. Here, we'll stay around for a little bit of post show. That just means we get to talk about whatever we want. You only get the post show if you're here for the live show. So make sure you come out and join us live just about every Thursday as we do this week in and week out. Appreciate you coming out today. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.